Our next speaker is Alan King with the iRODS Consortium, and his talk is entitled iRODS S3 API, User and Bucket Mapping, Presigned URLs, and Dataverse.
Thank you, Corey. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Let's get started. If I had the thing in focus, there we go. All right, so for this talk, we're going to go over basically what is the S3 API, the motivations and goals behind it, how it's been architected and implemented, a brief history of the project, and then the meat of the talk will be these 3 releases that have happened over the last year since the last UGM. There would have been a demo, but my Windows VM was exploded or something. I don't know. I can't do the demo, unfortunately. I'll describe what I was going to do, I guess, if you want. But anyway, I can't do the demo, but then we'll move on to the future work. So the S3 API is a way of surfacing the iRODS protocol with the S3 protocol. So basically, you can have S3 clients speaking to iRODS, right? The idea was to have it be multi-user and multi-bucket, meaning you have multiple S3 users mapped to iRODS users and multiple buckets which are mapped to collections and iRODS. We wanted it to be load balancer friendly for scalability reasons, maintainable as you would with any project, and to have performance which is similar to other S3 backends such as Minio or what have you. So this diagram is showing the architecture of the S3 API on the, what is that, on the right there for you. Is the iRODS server. It speaks 1247, the iRODS protocol. The S3 API is speaking the iRODS protocol. On the left side, you have your S3 client, Minio, CLI, whatever, and it's speaking S3 as it does to the S3 API. So the S3 API is translating those requests into iRODS requests. So just to be clear, this is not the S3 resource plugin. So I think I sensed some confusion about that when I was talking to folks during the conference. So yeah, this is a client of iRODS to make it speak with S3 clients. Okay. Yeah, so we've created a single binary with a single configuration file shipped as a Docker image. And we have the multi-user, multi-bucket implementation. And it uses a RODS admin as a proxy user to perform actions on behalf of the S3 users. Right, so we have a brief history of the project that I've laid out in a timeline here. The S3 API started with the S3 working group in August of 2021. Its first release happened a couple of years later. Some other releases occurred over the following years, excuse me. The last time we talked about the S3 API, turns out, was in November of 2024. So since then, we've had 3 releases. I'm going to talk about those in more detail. And of note, the S3 working group, which spawned this project, was dissolved in March of this year because we did it. There wasn't anything else to do. So if you have other ideas for S3 projects, maybe it'll spin back up someday. But yeah, for now, it has dissolved. All right, so here is a slide about the 040 release, which was in August of 2025. This added iRODS 5 compatibility as well as server configuration validation on startup. I guess the meaty part of this release was the ability to use pre-signed URLs for downloading and uploading data. Pre-signed URLs, for those of you who don't know, are time-limited anonymous data access through S3. So the client will generate a URL which is pre-authenticated, and then you share it with other people. I think talk earlier demonstrated similar functionality. So it's like that. The big win for us with this was the enabling large file storage for Dataverse and iRODS. So people have demonstrated storing things, interactions with Dataverse and iRODS, but large file storage is possible with S3, these pre-signed URLs. And that's how we were able to get Dataverse to use iRODS for large file storage. In November of 2025, we released 050, which added a plugin architecture for user bucket mapping, which enables dynamic user and bucket mapping. In the HTTP API, we have a similar user mapping structure, and so it's modeled after that. And yeah, basically what this means is that you can adjust your user and bucket mapping without restarting the server, which is a nice feature, of course. And I mentioned that we had a single configuration file. This is still true, but the mappings are now maintained separately, and the single configuration file points at those, right? So we currently support local JSON file configurations, but as use cases arise, we will add support for others. Right. So last month, as of today, we released the 060 version of the S3 API. And the big thrust for this release was basic support for some popular Windows-based S3 GUIs. The ones that we knew about were S3 Browser and CyberDuck. If you guys have others that you know of that you like to use or you have users that use, please let us know about them so that we can make sure that we're in compatibility with those. The effort behind this was to we had to add the ability to create, list, and delete empty prefixes. These are sometimes thought of as folders, which these clients do. Prefixes do not actually exist in S3, so trying to trying to bridge that gap and maintain iRODS collections for things that don't exist is a little tricky. So that was one of the things we had to do. As well, these GUIs use the list objects v1 endpoint rather than list objects v2, which pretty much every other client in existence uses. So that was something else that we had to separate out. Another big deal is this is one of the many projects that we automated build and test workflows across iRODS versions for. So that was a big deal. Right, so here's where I'd have a demo. It's not going to happen. But basically, CyberDuck allows you to create pre-signed URLs just by right-clicking on the objects in the Explorer. Then you can copy those into curl or whatever, and even a web. I don't know a web browser. You can curl the file and get the contents without authenticating at all. It says try it yourself on iRODS demo. That's the thing I was using to run the S3 API and the iRODS server. This demo is not in that demo, if that makes sense. So, but feel free to try it out anyway. Right, so finally we have our future work. We plan to support additional S3 capabilities and endpoints such as object and bucket tagging, access control lists, and more endpoints related to multi-part management. Right now, the S3 API uses path style addressing. This has been deprecated since 2019, so we really need to implement virtual hosting style addressing. That is the current standard. We want to support additional authentication schemes, such as the new iRODS authentication scheme and PAM password, PAM interactive, maybe. I don't know. And then, of course, as always, performance improvements, specifically with relation to multi-part. Yeah, thanks for listening.
All right, we got a question right here.
Hello, good work. Can you also transport the state of certain resources or like replicas missing, and how do you transfer this to S3? And maybe would you also support the Glacier extensions that would like AWS does this for offline storage that takes a long way to get back, and is there some way to map this or to this kinds of information?
Sure. I'll answer them in reverse order. So for the Glacier part, I don't know that we had that under consideration yet, but it's an interesting idea. For the S3 API? I don't think so.
For the resource plugin, yes.
For the plugin, we have Glacier support, but the S3 API does not mimic that at this time. Now, as for the other question, given that iRODS is more of a virtual file system, and the replicas concept is an iRODS thing, I'm not really sure how that would get reflected in an S3 presentation. So yeah, you could maybe do something with tagging or versioning. I don't know, but that is another thing that we haven't really thought about. Is mainly just about showing objects as objects. Oh, and the system metadata from those things, such as modification times, size, etc., are I'm not sure if this is implemented yet, but the idea is to use the latest marked good replica as the representative replica, if that makes sense.
Do we have another question? Can we get a show of hands of how many people are using the S3 API in some capacity? Okay, so we got her. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Oh, Slack question?
Okay, comment. When SCP and rclone or other tools that can be used to transfer data between remote systems and iRODS?
Okay. Yes. All right. All right. Thank you.